including our favorite person, the New York State Attorney General. And I'll say this for everybody. She's an alumni of the Conso Frito, Letitia James. And look, there's more trouble with that because there's mortgage fraud and bank wires and all this stuff. And here, this is just out today, the Letitia James files. Letitia James is now a slumlord, apparently. Tenants complain of peeling paint, apartments used as hotel rooms, and every unit reported bed bug infestations. You see that there's all this mortgage fraud that's going on. I mean, in one of the paperwork, I believe Tish James said she married her father to get a lower rate. She has a primary residence in Virginia that Sam Antar completely exposed her on that. There's campaign finance laws that she's broken when she has 501c3s donating to her campaign, which is 100% illegal. But what is your take on all of this? Or how would you approach this and how prosecuting her as the attorney general is clearly these documents are damning and she's running around saying, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA's doing this. No, the documents are public. It's actually a citizen, Sam Antar and Joel Gilbert, who are doing this, that they brought this to the public's sphere. And now you might see something with the DOJ criminal referring and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's interesting because these kinds of cases where it's all paper, right? It's a paper case. It's not like an assault where it's like, oh, this guy hit that guy. And a lot of times these cases are actually easier to prove because the evidence exists, right? I mean, think of it as simply as like filing a false instrument. We have cases like that. You've probably had cases like that when you were a police officer. Mm-hmm. But then expand that to a larger degree, more things that were filed than just one piece of paper. So if you're a prosecutor, you're going to hunt down all of those leads. You're going to want emails. You're going to want text messages, all of that data, and you're going to want filings, court filings. Then when you get all of that information from the paper, you're going to see names of people, right, in those papers, people who either participated in or knew about what was going on, and you have to follow the lead down that trail. You have to interview those people. You have to maybe treat them as little fish, right? Proffer them and say, look, you were a co-conspirator here. Maybe if you kind of tell us what happened here, did you feel pressure from her? Did you not really know what was going on? Tell us what happened and why you did what you did. And it might help strengthen a case against Tish James. I do think that there's something for her to worry about because as you and I both know, and we've been talking about this throughout this whole episode, even a lot of times people do things that are wrong and sometimes they're not caught or sometimes they are caught like Eric Adams and not prosecuted. But we all know that when there's an appetite for it, that's when you have to be worried. So Letitia James, she may have been doing all of these things, but like no one really cared, or maybe people didn't know about it as much as they do now, or they didn't have an appetite for it because maybe politically they needed to align with her. Whatever it is, the stars have now aligned. The stars have aligned in such a way where there's apparently some sort of evidence that exists against her, and there's an appetite to go after her. So with all of that together, I do think she needs to worry about what's going on here.
Yeah, I think she's in deep trouble here. And like Eric Dim just said, Serena's spot on. Sam Antar showed the evidence that was overwhelming, not circumstantial. And I agree. And there's even more because you hear about the slumlord thing. Now you also have the mortgage fraud, right? Which now apparently Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, both were in Congress. Now one's in the Senate. They did this. We also have Andrew Weissman. He apparently did this. And it's right in your face. And it seems to be all attorneys as well that are doing it, which means they represent themselves. They don't need another attorney in your ear going, you can't do that. You know, it's illegal. And they get away with it. I think Jason Goodman said it great. He said this best on the last show. He's doing a great job unveiling this stuff, uncovering all this. Mm-hmm. And Sam Antar and Joel Gilbert and even Roger Stone have completely obliterated Tish James' evidence of what she's done. And I guess the grand finale with her is that, again, I'm going to bring this up again. She was hanging out at that seedy, shady place in the Bronx where human trafficking was reported to the NYPD. They file a report, and then that goes nowhere, and the party goes on, and she is the most prominent face that's going there every night with all this stuff going on, and there's fundraisers that were not produced to the campaign finance reports for people. and she's there. And we also have to remember there's Act Blue, so there's money that she's not accounting for correctly. There is the self-admitted criminal mob associate, Jimmy Rodriguez, who was the manager, owner, whatever you want to call this place, very chummy with her. Someone that any lawyer, even someone like yourself, Sarena, could be disbarred or sanctioned for hanging out with, because clearly you have the power as a prosecutor to make somebody a convicted criminal, but you're hanging around one who clearly is and has so much criminality around their place that it really pulls the question, who's really pulling the strings? And that one is still in your face, waiting in the open, and no one's even touched that one yet about that human trafficking.
Yeah, it sounds like there's things unraveling and developing, right? You know better than anyone. You start pulling that thread and all of a sudden the whole sweater unravels at your feet, right? So I think, again, because of the fact that there's this attention now, there's going to be digging, and who knows what's going to come of it. And it's, people are saying she brought this energy on herself. Like, maybe she did. Maybe she did, because you have to understand that when you have lawfare, or when you do things because it's politically motivated, or not do things because it's politically motivated, you're going to start pissing off enough people that they're going to start looking into what you've done. And then she's going to have to deal with those consequences. Again, these are all allegations. We don't know, but it is something that she's probably speaking to a lawyer about, I would hope.
Yeah, I think she should speak to a lawyer. Maybe she should be speaking to you, Sarena.